Good evening and welcome to the webinar. This is Bernie Wright as our guest speaker this evening, and she's doing a retrospective on her life in activism and plans for the future. If anybody wants to ask a question, please either put a hand in the chat box or to put your hand up physically and let you know. So it's kind of a fireside chat where Roger will be talking to Bernie. Best of luck to you, Bernie and Roger. Thank you very much.
I don't have a fireside.
Well, I don't have anything to say to Roger.
You're not talking.
Right, so we should all see the PowerPoint. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Bernie?
The colours, yeah.
Oh, good. Right, so we'll move on to the first one then.
Good already.
Did you see it change?
Yes, the fur one.
Okay.
There's no order on these. We just sort of say what they are, do we?
Yeah, well, obviously you've got the one of the trips from Tom Reagan. He's the author of The Case for Animal Rights. So he came over about what, 3 or 4 times, Bernie?
He did, yeah. He loved us over here. He loved Ireland, you know.
Yeah, he's got Irish.
I think he really came to play golf, but anyway.
He liked Irish whiskey, I think, but because he did the Late Show as well, didn't he, at one point?
He did the Late Show twice, yeah.
Oh, twice. Okay, there's only a
recording. We got him on the Late twice.
All right, I wonder if there's a second recording anywhere, because I've only got one recording of that. That's where
probably somewhere.
Yeah,
like everything, yeah.
Yeah, Pat Kenny was the presenter then. And then this one at the top is intriguing because, you know, people say things like nothing is ever new, and of course we tend to associate masks with with Earthlings and AV now. But this is 1999, and this is the fur demo, Bernie.
Yeah, that was in Grafton Street. We walked up and down Grafton Street, and we had a big coffin. Well, a coffin I made and painted, and we had old fur coats in it. We threw them into it, used them just for the display, you know. So it was pretty effective. It looked good. You know?
Were you going to burn them? You know, some people burn fur coats, don't they?
No, we weren't going to burn them in Grafton Street. We would have been arrested.
Yeah.
Can't do that in Grafton Street. But
you being such a law-abiding person as well.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that, Roger. Yeah, definitely.
So well, you can take this in any order you want, Bernie.
Right. The Institute of Animal Technicians. There was basically a worldwide conference to be on in City West here in Dublin. There was a whole lot of animal technicians coming from all the different countries to hear. So to cut a long story short, we found out about it and we got in touch with the hotel that was going to have it. The guy that ran the hotel, he's dead now, he was well known. It was City West Hotel. So we didn't know what reception we'd get. So we said, right, let's try it. So we went in, and the first time we went in, he slashed our tires. So we had to sort of get the cars fixed and get out again. So we tried it a second time and we said, look, we don't want any hassle. We just want to talk to you. So I said, what's all this about? He said, I see you coming in and out the hotel and going out again. I don't know what you're at. So I said, well, we're trying to get you so we can speak to you about this. So anyway, he spoke to us, cut a long story short. And we showed him a video. We had about 3 people from Shack in England with us at the time. And we showed him the video that they had of the experiments and everything on animals in the labs. So he said, give me that tape and I'll talk to you tomorrow. So we said, oh God, this is the end of it. So we went back the next day and there he was waiting. And he says, I've lost thousands, but I'm with you. I agree with you. It should be shut down. And he said, I've told them to go home. I'll give them all their money back.
Wow.
So
What was
we sort of went, yeah. But he said, I'm a man of my word. He said, they can have their money back. And it ran into thousands. It ran into a lot of money because they had taken deposits off every country. So we sort of couldn't believe it. And he says, if I see you here again, I'll slash your tires again. So that was the way it ended. Just don't give me any hassle and I won't have the conference, you know?
What was his name? What was his name?
Mansfield.
Slasher, his name.
No, Mansfield.
Mansfield, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
he's the owner.
The father as well as we dealt with, yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Because he owned City West at the time.
And
He was
just-
a nice man, you know? So
Just for people watching the recording, SHAC stands for Stop Huntingdon Animal Cruelty. So the chances are that, you know, young activists or vegans might not know what SHAC means. So that's what it is. Stop Huntingdon Animal Cruelty.
you're making me feel old, Roger. But SHAC were the biggest group basically in England as regards anti-vivisection. So they used to come over to us first thing in the morning, have their breakfast, head off to targets around Dublin, and we'd meet up with them later. And we had a good relationship with them. I did the Irish end of it here. And a lot of them got very big sentences when they were arrested and locked up. And then they couldn't communicate with any of us. It was really bad. So that was in England, of course. We were never arrested or anything here. But in England, it was very bad. They were all just rounded up and put in jail. So they were delighted anyway to see this ended because that sort of hit everywhere. Anywhere that somebody was coming from a country as an animal technician was cancelled. So the extra bit was, I got a phone call another day and it was Jim Mansfield again. And he says, Bernie, they're going to the RDS. Everybody here knows the RDS. It's a big place. I'm just telling you, they're trying to get into the RDS now, as soon as I put them out. So we went to the RDS, we gave the same spiel, and we said, look, we want it cancelled, and they cancelled. So the whole thing was cancelled, which was actually easier than we thought. But I think maybe when they heard there was activists from England as well as Ireland here, there was a lot of us, it worked, you know? So that's all it took. Really, somebody on our side to say, yeah, I'll cancel it. So it just shows if you can think out things and go whichever way you think you should go to try and stop something. You know, do it, try it, you know. Because we could have left it and said, well, Jim Mansfield hardly is on our side, big businessman, you know. But we were wrong, he was on our side. So there was a good one anyway, you know.
Can I just ask one thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Like when, I mean, it sounds like it was great that he intervened at the RDS. And I'm just thinking that maybe some of their reason for canceling is because they do have so many people over for the horse show. I mean, they have all those people from England and everywhere, but they wouldn't want the bad publicity. So it sounded like it worked in your favor unintendedly almost, you know, that
Yeah.
you know, the RDS was not going to want bad publicity that would scare people off from coming over for the horse show. Anyway,
Well, they never mentioned that, but they sort of went with.
but yeah,
I think they figured if he cancelled, they'd be right to cancel.
yeah.
You know.
Congratulations, that was great.
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of doing things. Like people are afraid to do this and afraid to do that. Just do it. See what happens, you know? Stop laughing, Louise.
The one on the
No,
left.
I'm just thinking about the places we've been thrown out of. Sorry.
The one on the left, Bernie, that's 2001. So it's interesting. This is Irish Times. So this is the foot and mouth outbreak, which is really, really big news
Right, yeah.
in Britain and also in Ireland. The thing that intrigues me about this is that you've got a Go Vegetarian banner there, which is interesting because even though it's 2001, veganism wasn't really the main thing that people talked about in those days. So that goes to show how new, you know, the focus on veganism is. So that's outside the
Department of Agriculture.
yeah. So is that a wreath then you've got there on the floor?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other one is live exports. We've got other pictures, but this is Ross Lane Harbour.
Ross Lair Harbour.
Ross Lair. Oh, is that an R? Is it? Okay.
We went down for demonstrations as the ships were going out. The live export ships were going out.
And we've got some more of those, so we can come back to that perhaps.
That's way back in '95. God.
95. Wow. Now this one, everybody, this is Bernie having a bit of a go at me, I think, because if you look at the one right at the top, Yates accused.
Not really.
Of
Really?
capitulating. You see,
Oh,
you see
wow.
that? That's terrible, Bernie. I think you're terrible for doing that to me.
Why?
Your secret's out. I can bribe you now.
So yeah, that's 95 again. That's Irish Times, and then the other one is 94, and this is the zoo expansion. So, do you know if it? I think it was updated, wasn't it, around that time? The zoo.
There was work put into the zoo. They made bigger car parks and bigger this and bigger that, but nothing was really done to help the animals that were imprisoned there. You know what I mean? It was more a people thing.
Hmm.
You know? So I don't think we actually stopped work being done. Maybe we stopped the type. I don't know. But we were complaining about what was being spent on the zoo. You know, the zoo is still there. So that continues on to today, you know.
Well, Dublin Zoo is kind of world famous, isn't it, though, really? So
Great, isn't it, if you go into it?
So here's some likely lads here. So you've got a variety of things here, Bernie.
Right. Well, that's that one there is a sort of a sale of work for dog rescue because I ran dog rescue. That's a live experts protest on the Keys, which actually worked. A point I was making the other day was about home demos. Home demos work when you do them. Now there was live exports, and we found out who the company was that was exporting the animals. It was a place on the Keys. So we found out where we lived, which was Castleknock. So about, I'd say there was 7 or 8 of us. There were a few photographs. Went down to Castleknock with placards, banners, and we stood outside his house, very clearly saying, this man exports animals, live animals and that type of thing. And we actually got him to stop exporting. So it's just a case in point that I get a lot of flack if I say I'm going to do a house demo outside somebody's house. But all it means is stand on the footpath with a placard, really. That's about it. That's the start and end of it. But it means more because the people inside the house know that you know them where they live, and they don't know you're a pacifist or whatever you are. So they usually give in. So it's another tactic that works, you know?
What, can I just ask, where's Castleknock?
Castleknock is at the Phoenix Park there. Dublin
Okay.
7, nearly 7.
Got it. Okay, just curious.
So it's just lately there's been a lot of talk about the demos outside the house of the woman that wants to kill the dog. And I got a lot of flack off it, but I mean, I wasn't talking about anything that radical, just standing on the footpath with a placard. And usually it works. In that case there, it did work. We stopped the live exports from that company. So,
such as the Farfield minus Farfield strips.
Where's this noise pollution coming from, folks?
John Arbuckle for a folder, all the Farfield characters.
Ah,
I don't
okay. So the ones to the top left and then the one underneath, those two interestingly kind of activist ones, in the sense that it was about the dog meat trade in China, but it was also in solidarity with the Chinese activists. I can't remember whether they were being arrested or something, Bernie, but I know that that was one of the aims of it. And then the bottom one was there was some activists in Spain who'd been arrested. So that was like a solidarity with them as well, as far as I know. So that must have been, well, the bottom one, that must have been the 2000s, because I was there. So
you were there, were you?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Can you see Aga? I'm just behind.
I see Aga, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just behind, and then I'm also in the top one. The handsome guy with the ponytail, people.
I was just about to say that, yes. Okay. This is Woody I have here. He's coming to say. Can you say hello? Can you say hello? Hey. It's my baby. But,
He's a big
so
baby.
I mean, it just basically the demos. That one there was another shack demo with the British activists when they came over. We used to join them for demos.
So you recruited Ringo Starr for that one, Bernie, on the drums.
Yeah, I still have the drum. Yeah, if necessary. You want to take up a new career, Louise? Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's around that.
So the
So
one
that was
one on the right,
against the stag hunt that we got the ban on. The
yeah,
middle one there, Save Our Stags. We actually got John Gormley to bring in the ban on stag hunting, which he did.
John Gormley is the guy on the left there.
Yeah.
So John Gormley was a Green
Minister.
Was a minister? Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yes.
they had a coalition government, didn't they? So
Well, when was that, Bernie?
That was outside the doll, actually.
When?
Oh God, I'd say it was about 2010.
Okay, just curious. Thanks.
Yeah.
still all black and white photographs.
Yeah.
Now this one to the left. This is part of a series in the Irish Times. Remarkable, really, given the fact that so much space was taken up. This is the third of the series, and it was more than one page, so it was a lot of column inches, as it were. So this one is talking about the new activists of Ireland, really.
Well, that's Nuala.
And she co-founded IFAR, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So so two people co-founded it, and then you joined, and then you've ended up kind of running it, really, right?
3 people founded it, and I sort of came in about a few weeks or a month later. I came across the stand in Westmoreland Street. All the leaflets were out, and I went over and got some, and I joined, and I sort of stayed with it then. You know, that was back in the 80s. So that's how I can't remember things that well. I'm looking here at stuff and saying, oh, what was that? There's a lot. That's only a fraction of it, you know. We went from one issue to the next. No real plan, but if something came up, we dealt with it and moved on, you know.
So this is one of your conferences, Bernie.
Yeah.
You've done a series of conferences, and
there you are, Roger. You're at the back.
Yeah, I'm always at the back. So you've done a series of conferences. This is the one that you organised, and so the main speaker is the guy in the middle. That's Jerry Vlasak from North America. He was the press officer of the North American Animal Liberation Front.
Yeah.
And then
we had Robin Webb, had we that day?
No, that's a different one.
No, Steve Best.
That's a different one. I think that's
Was it?
Yeah, I think it's coming up So that's that one. So this is the one you're thinking of. So this is 2005. This is when we first met, I think, Bernie.
Really?
Yeah. And so you set up this kind of mini conference thing, and there's Professor Reagan and Robin Webb, you mentioned, Mary Brady,
Yeah.
and then Steve
Steve
Best.
Best. Yeah.
So they were all there. The pictures to your right, top is Tom Reagan, and bottom is Steve Best.
Tom has died since, but people don't know that, maybe. Tom died a few years ago.
2017.
Was it? Yeah.
Seems a long time ago now, funny enough, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
Now this one's an interesting story, Bernie.
We'll go to the next. It was a big fun fair that was set up in County Meath. There was a lot of animals brought in, and the worst of it was they were all put on the roof.
Oh my
of,
God.
of this. You can see there, they were put up on the roof, and there was donkeys and God knows what put on the roof. So there was 20 animals, including a pregnant donkey.
Ah,
And it was a rooftop petting farm.
oh,
So we found out about that, and a lot of the animals were taken from a farmer. He lent them to use for it.
There's a couple of small pigs, yeah?
I can't remember really exactly which it was, but so we sort of went up and sort of said, well, where do we go with this? So basically we contacted him again, and we just said, look, this isn't good enough. They shouldn't have the animals there. We went to the Department of Agriculture, not that that's ever a great help, but might have helped a bit. So it was cancelled. It was cancelled in the end because we complained so much. We made a pest of ourselves. So
how did it work? Did people actually get taken up onto the roof?
yeah, people were going in and up to the building, up to the roof.
You would have thought that would probably break
But if
loads
an
of
animal
health
had
and
fallen
safety,
off or anything, like, I mean, it was just madness, you know. The middle of
be good.
nowhere, it wasn't even a busy place. It was a remote place, you know.
what happened to the animals? You know?
Well, they went with them. They came down, they left, you
Oh
know.
my God.
So, you know, you can't do everything. You can do a certain amount, but we couldn't say, look, we want to take them. Because the animals were belonging to a farmer in the area. It
Right.
says there, here, Jesse Callahan, the farmer in Lunderstown, Duleek. It was to use the roof farm on their 2-story building. So that's the 2-story building there.
That's sort of grotesque. All right.
I mean, you wouldn't even make this up. How could you make it
Well, you
up
couldn't,
like?
no, you couldn't make it up. No.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I suppose maybe there's more weird stuff here than there would be in England, and I don't know, but it's really a difference. It's not one thing, it's another. You know? But the main thing is, I think, from all the years I'm in this, God, I think I was 100. But, you know, in all the years, the thing is to do something, not nothing.
Yeah, no, of course. No, it all adds up. It really does.
Yeah. Try something. If it doesn't work, just change tack and do something else. You know?
Right. Keep
You want to
going.
jump in there, Dennis?
Yes, this people that had Fantasia, where were they from, Bernie? Was it local or was it?
They were Irish.
They were Irish. Oh my God.
They got the animals from a fella called Jesse Callahan. I see it here, a farmer in Lunderstown, Duleek. Duleek is well known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the leak?
It's basically me. It's up towards Drogheda,
I got it.
near Drogheda. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it's the county north of County Dublin, isn't it? But I can't see how this would be legal, even for health and safety reasons. First of all, to have them on the roof.
I don't
but
know what
also-
year that was. What year was that? Is there a year anywhere on it? It's a long time ago. You see, they got away with more stuff years ago.
But you know, you couldn't have members of the public. What if a kid went up there and fell off?
You die.
I know they had a kid anyway with goats, but you know what I mean? If a human kid went up there,
Right, Bill.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, they caved in anyway and took them down. So that's all we cared about. You know, whatever reasons for them to take it down, maybe it was health and safety. I don't know.
There's Health and Bernie. Speaking of Bernie, Mrs. Doolittle of Ireland, Ms. Doolittle. Sorry.
You really picked these, Roger.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, especially the haircut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was nominated for the Spirit of Ireland Award, and
Don't be
I
shy
didn't win,
now,
of course,
Bernie.
but I have a glass trophy in the
You
press.
won this. You won this. It wasn't just a nomination. You won it,
No,
right?
I didn't win this. I didn't win.
You didn't win. You said you
No.
got the thing.
It was sort of runner-up. Yeah, I have the glass thing
Okay.
inscribed. Yes,
Well, if it was only runner-up, I wouldn't have bothered putting it in.
I'll fill it with whiskey for you, Roger. Okay.
And then this other one is really interesting in terms of the legal status of other animals, because he's talking about that hunt saboteurs steal hares. So that's a really interesting one, because in what sense were they property? Are they free living beings who had been rounded up? And is the rounding up what creates them to be property? Because there's a weird thing is that if you shoot a free living being, they then become your property once you've done that. Okay. And usually before you shoot them, it's usually that the other animals are then the property of a jurisdiction. So it's all very kind of weird, this property thing. But in law, there are two concepts: persons and things. And other animals are regarded as things, which is why if you liberate one, you are then accused of stealing, or even things like criminal damage, because they're items of property in law.
Well, they weren't actually stolen. They were released, as you would release hares. Just let them free.
Liberated, yes.
Yeah.
But the point is, Bernie, it must be that by them gathering them up and putting them in a field, for example, then, according to law, they're then property. And you've released items of property then. So that's why they're using the word steal.
Not if you can get them to go far enough. You don't just move them to the next field. You make sure they get further afield.
Further afield. Yeah, I'm just thinking about
Further afield, yes.
Now this is your ostrich campaign, Bernie.
Go from one thing to the next. My God. The ostriches. In what year? I don't even know what year. There's no year on the piece of paper. Yeah, this is another case I'm finding out that's going to be ostrich racing in Ireland. So we said, here's another one now. What are we going to do with this? So what happened wasn't that the one with the Council
This is
of Europe
1998,
Treaty?
Bernie. It's 1998. 1998.
98. Maybe. But what happened in the long run was we knew we had to stop it because people are too big to put on ostriches. Do you know what I mean? It must be terrible for them to have a human on their back. So what we did was, it was basically a case of digging into files and seeing where we stood. So we found, I can't remember it was a Council of Europe regulation that said they can't be used for spectacle or display. I remember that very vividly, the two things, spectacle or display. So we went to the government with that and we said, look, this applies to these. I think they were called ratites. Is that right, Roger?
You mean the classification?
Yeah, ostriches and birds like that would be
Yeah,
ratites.
sounds about right, but don't quote me
Is
on it.
that right? Anybody
Sounds about
know?
right. Yeah.
It's something we had, so that we're called ratites. So we brought it to the government and we showed them the legislation and they stopped it. So it never started here in Ireland. It would have been starting all over the place, bringing in ostriches and racing them. The same as God knows what else they do.
Yeah, they've obviously, there's a child in the left one, somebody called Mark Walsh, who was 12 at the time. But does that mean that they were farming ostriches in Ireland? And do they still?
Well, I know they brought some of them in.
Oh, okay.
They brought them in to start with, so they were probably, you know, breeding them after that. But it didn't get very far because we stopped it. They weren't allowed to do it by law.
Right.
So only we found that they would be still doing it, probably, you know.
It was going to be actually at Punchestown race course, so they were going to include it as part of the racing.
Yeah.
Mm.
I can't remember many of the details now, but I do remember that it was an odd one, you know.
Yeah, it's just very, very strange.
Yeah.
Okay, these are kind of really, I included these ones because this is your newsletter. So you've got winter 97 to 98, and the other one is January and February 97. So you got the fur. That's that. I think that's outside. What we call it? You know, the one at bottom of
Bernard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was the write up on the City West Hotel that when we stopped. Activist stormed City West Hotel. We didn't quite storm it, but we stopped it. So you know, we have bits of proof everywhere from these things. Otherwise, I'd be able to forget half them, to be honest. We do them and move on, you know. So the only thing is sometimes you have to find an angle to get something done. There was no point in us protesting forever outside that place. We really need to go to the top and get whoever was in charge to stop it, you know? So I don't know if that makes sense, what we're talking about here, or even if it's interesting to you, but...
Oh no, definitely makes sense, yeah.
You know, it's just go whichever way you think might work. And if it doesn't, try something else, but don't give up, you know?
Well, ripples go out. I mean, somebody notices and something happens and something else happens. So. Yeah,
when we were looking there was a few things we stopped that would have been continuing on if we hadn't.
It's been horrible.
Yeah. It's terrible that you have to watch everything, really, you know?
Well, somebody has to.
Yeah.
The one on the right, Bernie, this is an interesting one because it's almost got echoes of what's going on with your Greyhound campaign right now, because you're talking about the hunters boosting their numbers by duplicating submissions or something. That's kind of what's going on.
Fiddling the numbers, yeah.
Yeah, but the Greyhound people are doing that as well, aren't they? They're kind of including.
Oh, yes, they all do that. They're all fiddling numbers and putting them whatever way they want. It's like the way they're counting the people going into the track and saying these are punters.
Right.
Oh, they're the guys that own the Greyhounds that are going in, you know? They go in two doors.
Wow.
One door at the other end of Shelburne. We don't see so much because they sort of go up a laneway then, you know?
Right.
Like I usually have a clicker. We often click to see how many are going in. It doesn't be many at all, you know? There might be at most 200, 100 to 200.
Yep.
But you can't be conclusive because they're going in the other door as well down further. And we don't know whether they're the racing guys or whether they're the punters. So it's a bit hard to differentiate. I know when you see all the stupid little kids going in the frocks, they're with the parents and there's a party or something. They're definitely punters, but you can't tell with them all what they are, you know.
Yeah, but even with the punters, they've got free tickets off them, haven't they? So.
Well, with the kids, they give free food, free doggy bags, free everything. And the worst of it is TripAdvisor is advertising it again.
Oh, no.
Thought it wasn't supposed to be. We have to look into that.
There's in terms of the one on the right there, the newsletter, there's a little bit of really interesting animal movement history there, the MacLibel verdict.
MacLibel verdict,
yeah. That was the longest legal trial of its kind in England at the time, and probably still is, I think. And it's when McDonald's sued some people for giving out a leaflet saying what's wrong with McDonald's. There's a really interesting documentary on YouTube if people want to have a look at that one. It's a bit of interesting history, that one. Right, now this is an interesting one. First of all, the seahorses, you had them removed. So this is one that you can count as a victory, I think, Bernie.
Yeah, yeah. Again, we found out about the seahorses, and they were in tanks, you know, like long tanks attached to a wall in Dublin Airport. You could see all the little seahorses that were going up and down and up and down. So we went in and we sort of took stock of what there was. I think there was a few tanks in the airport in departures, you know, just all around there. And we kicked up about it and we protested outside the airport as well, where people were coming in to go off the holidays or whatever. So they pulled them after about a week or two. We got there with that one. That was easy. I don't know. It's just some things are easier than others. You could be ages trying to get so. It's like the Greyhound track. We're 3 years still trying to shut that down. It's not shut down yet. But they can get something like this, and they'll pull it. You know.
The guy in the picture. Who's the guy in the photo?
I can't see.
I can't either. I just want
No.
to. That's all right.
The eyesight isn't what it used to be.
No, it's okay. I just somebody might know. No big deal.
Might be an actor. I don't know.
Don't know.
So the pictures at the bottom are a bit of a mystery because we were trying to find out earlier about these and we couldn't really locate it. What I like about them is that the one on the right there, you're looking daggers at the camera person there, Bernie, and then the one on the left at the bottom there, you're still looking at the camera person. So you've obviously got it in for somebody there.
Yeah, well, it was against hunting, and I think the captain thing was one of the royalty or something coming over from England to hunt.
Oh, Captain Cruelty, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't remember exactly, but yeah,
That's
Newell and Jerry there that founded a fair, you know. So what year was on that? Was there a year?
No, there's no year, but if you're talking about, because the sign you've got is Stop Cruelty Tourism, presumably that could imply that it was
They were from England.
The English ban, they were coming over to Ireland.
Yeah, that's Ashford Castle.
Is that what it is? Yeah, I couldn't remember.
That's Ashford Castle because it says the Nail and Ballinrobe. So that's where Ashford Castle is. It's between the Nail and Ballinrobe. Yeah.
Yeah. That was really years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
That must have been early 80s, was it?
Well, it can't have been anything to do with the English ban then. So that's interesting.
It's something to do with the
Captain Boycott. That's where the word boycott was coined. The name of the land agent was a Captain Boycott, and the workers refused to help him to harvest the crops that year, and that's where the term came from, to boycott somewhere, and that was around that area as well, Captain Boycott. And
so the workers boycotted Captain Boycott then, Dennis?
Yes, he was a land agent for a big landowner, so they wouldn't cut the crops for him, and other people come in from outside, and you know, there's always scabs on protests or to a protest, but that's where the term came from, to boycott, from Captain Boycott.
That was a long time ago.
Yes, the 19th century.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
The photographs are still in black and white. That's a no.
You were in the 20th century.
I don't know where I was.
Well, maybe this is the 19th century, Bernie, and a fire has been going for longer than you remember. So.
Yeah, it feels like that, all right. I don't remember when there wasn't a fire. I know that sounds terrible. Jesus, I should get a life. But you know what I mean. Oh, that's just what I pulled out the other day. The date is on it further down. I don't know. I didn't photograph it. It was in Paraguay. The Pope was going around in his Pope mobile and he hit a dog and he never bothered stopping. So that's why I cut that out. Pope Francis.
Where did
This is not in Ireland then?
No, Paraguay,
Oh, right.
South America.
Well, Paraguay he wasn't been there for a long time. I think.
What?
I mean, he hasn't been. I mean, he's in Canada now. So.
Oh, well, we're talking years ago now, Louise.
Oh, okay, I got it now. Okay.
Just Pope Francis, if anybody's good on popes, which I'm not.
Not really interested in popes.
Surely we've got a pope expert in the house.
Yeah, I'd say the 90s, yeah.
Jay's going to be dropping the keys back with the car, all right?
Right, this is your last one, Bernie. This is 2002, this one.
Oh yeah, that was a protest over the forests, allowed in the hunts, Kilcher forests. I happen to know Philomena Light. I know she died a few years ago now, but she was a good friend of mine, so we got her out for the demo. She always was able to pull the press, you know. So I think we won that one. Yeah, they don't let them in anymore. They don't let the hunters in anymore.
In the early days, did Phil ever go on a demo himself?
No, Phil didn't.
Okay.
No, because he was living in England
Right.
at the time. Yeah. It was Philomena that was living here, you know, she was living in Holt.
He wouldn't fit in too well with all his leather trousers anyway, would he? So
So anyway, that's what that was about. When was that? 2002.
2002, yeah. Okay, so I can stop sharing this. So we're back to ourselves.
Okay. Thank you, Bernie. Okay, will we move on to the future, Bernie? What can you give us on the future? What would you say?
Is there a future?
Your own activism. Where would you like to go from here?
Well, after I'm locked up for whatever.
In contempt of court tomorrow.
Bake the cake and put the file in it. Vegan cake with the file. Well, it's probably just more of the same, because all the stuff we've done over the years, it wasn't really thought about. We went from one issue to the next issue. And with any luck, we sort of at least one half them, you know, this sort of way. And some are bigger than others. So it depends what comes up.
Yes.
You see, a farm was set up, but it didn't really stipulate we're doing live exports, or we're doing this, or we're doing that. It's just an open animal rights group. So to be honest, I suppose I always led it, and I just went for wherever was needed. And another thing we stopped was the bolt gun, and that didn't come up. You know, the bolt gun where they shoot dogs in the head?
Right.
With the bolt comes out and goes into the head. There was a guy, it was a good one, because there was a guy in Loud doing this. And when we got into it, we realized it was being run by the council. And instead of putting the dogs down humanely, he was shooting them in the head, holding them between his knees and shooting them in the head. So we went up, and I remember going in there. There was blood all over the place in a big old dirty shed. So I thought, Jesus, what are we going to do here? Like, you know. So we found out as well too, we followed the dog warden. His name was Drumgool at the time. We followed him. I followed him in the car. And it led me to a rescue in the area. So I was saying, maybe he has the dogs in the car and he's bringing them to a rescue. So maybe they're not getting shot. I was just being optimistic, thinking, maybe I have it all wrong. So when I get there, I found out that he was leaving all the dogs into her, but she was doing the same thing. She was killing them. So it wasn't a happy ending. So I got onto the council, and it turned out there was 8 places using the bolt gun on dogs. 8 counties, each with a pound and a man that kills them. So we started with the first fella, Drumgool. We got him out of it. We made it stink. We went up to draw it and kicked up. And then we went on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And by the time we got to the 8th one, it was easier. They were falling out. They knew we were coming and we were going to stop it. So that's how we won that one, you know. It was sort of momentum, you know. So they got rid of the bolt gun in Ireland. This was what was that, Roger? 2001, I think. Or was it 99? It was 99 or
wasn't it later than that?
I don't know what it is. I have it somewhere. It could be 99.
I don't know, Bernie. I can't help you with that one.
What was the name of the guy in Clare who was in the RTE documentary? His first name was Frankie.
Shoulders?
No, starts with C, I think. Just curious. I mean, that was a really famous instance of killing the greyhounds with a bolt gun.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the fella in the big old shed. They were waiting to get their collar back off the dead dogs.
No, that was somebody else. No, this guy was like the official dog officer in for the county. I'll look it up and see.
Sorry. How is he? How is he? Sorry.
All right.
Somebody joining in here. But
no,
the other one is asleep on the floor here.
I'll find him.
But the thing was, what happened with that was, we thought we got to the end of it. We got the 9 places to stop using the bolt gun. And then we found out that Cork were using the electrocution tray. So we had to then backpedal, head for Cork, and go down and get that stopped. So we were hoodwinked in a way. We didn't know they were using the electrocution.
They were electrocuting dogs. Oh my God.
Yeah, stop them in water. Yeah.
Oh my God. That is the most horrific thing I have ever heard. I can't believe that. That's terrible.
We have all the couples and everything for everything here that proves, you know, that's, as I'm saying it, you know.
That's shocking.
But, yeah. But it just shows what's going on. If we didn't dig and find these things, they'd be probably still going on. Do you know what I mean?
That's barbaric, like.
So, but Bernie, for your agenda is just to keep going and see what terrible thing you encounter next, and then work at that. Which makes sense.
So we just go one thing to the next, keep your ear to the ground, see what's happening,
right?
And deal with it.
But you still do your usual stuff, like your.
Well, we haven't won them all. We haven't won them all.
No, but you still go to.
We've won a good few of them, you know.
But you go to the greyhound track every Saturday night. I mean, that's what I mean.
And we're already 3 years standing down in Shelburne Park every Saturday night, you know.
Yeah.
Like our footprints are nearly in the cement.
Right.
The problem with the greyhound racing though thing is because they're getting funding from the government. That's the issue.
Oh, of course, without that money, it wouldn't be viable.
Yeah. That's the
We
difference.
know that. Yeah.
Can I bring up one thing about that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I talked about it last time, but Boston College over here has this series where they invite Irish politicians over, and they give all kinds of talks to Boston politicians, and you know, all kinds of other the press. There's a whole kind of circuit that they go on. So Simon Coveney, is that how his name is spelled?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was over.
Coveney, yeah.
He was over. So he was giving a talk. It was the end of his few days over here. It was on at the Bank of America building. It was on the 35th floor. So I had to make myself get on the elevator to go to the 35th floor, which wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But when I got there, it was a question and answer thing. So I was able to actually ask him a question about the Irish Greyhounds. I was the last person to ask a question, and the guy who was in charge was going to not let me ask it. But he said, he looked, I was sitting right in front of him, and I wasn't going to not go. I wasn't going to leave. So he said, he asked me what I wanted to talk about. So I said about the Irish Greyhounds. But the audience was such that I couldn't just focus on cruelty and abuse because they're all very pro-Irish. But so what I did, sort of on the spur of the moment, was talk about how much, and it's true over here, the Irish Greyhounds have a huge following. I mean, Irish adopters over here love them totally. I mean, you're talking
about the States now, yeah.
Yeah, but
right.
that's what I said to Simon. I said that to him. That I said, you know, basically I was telling him, like, you've got this great supply that the Americans love. They love your dogs. All you have to do is make it so that we can get them over here. And of course, the audience thought that was hysterical, which was not bad. That they thought that was interesting because, you know, nobody ever thought about like Irish Greyhounds being of value after they were racing. But there's a huge market for them here. So it went over pretty well. He gave me his staff people's. He pointed me to his staff people, and I talked to them afterwards. And you know, we've made some contact. But you know, as it is, there's a big demand here, but it costs like, it isn't like it used to be that we could just put like, you know, 4 or 5 on the plane.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Sure, when I was over there about 2 years ago, the prices had shot up.
It's $1,500 per dog now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have to. Like here in Massachusetts, you have to go all the way to New York to pick them up. So in
Yeah,
other
you
words,
see, it wasn't even any simpler. It was harder to get them over because it was. Remember, we couldn't get some over.
Yeah. So anyway, that's something I definitely want to work on is following up with him. But at least he listened to me. And at least
I have to go 2 minutes. Jeez, I'll be back in a second.
At least it brought to the people's attention the fact that the Irish Greyhounds are of value, and that people here want them. So we'll see.
And thank you, Louise.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, has anybody any other questions for Bernie or anything you'd like to know?
I had a question about maybe a topic for another time.
Yes.
Whenever we're done. No, it just made me start thinking about it is when Bernie was talking about getting things in the press, that's one of the things that I've been concentrating on a lot lately is getting things in the press. That maybe we could talk about that one of the groups I work with, they have a lot of basic kind of written instructions, like how to write a press release, how to write an advisory, who to try to send it to, how to put it.
I'm a publicist. That's my job.
Well, that's a good idea. Well, then you'll come in handy. But that's the kind of thing that because, you know, in the past we have gotten, and Bernie does it, we've gotten over the years some really substantial press about the Greyhounds. The biggest one, of course, was the RTE running lives. But you know, what else we could put together, because there really is a huge need to talk more about having.
You see, with the Greyhounds thing, speaking on press, right? Okay.
Can I finish what I was saying?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's just I'm almost done. I just got 2 more things. One more thing, just to say that with the dogs, the Greyhounds going to China and Spain and Pakistan, there really needs to be a lot more focus on it. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, with the press, you know, the press like controversy, the press like, you know, drama. I'm sure the press in America are kind of different to the press here, but I mean, the tabloids here are kind of one of the main, you know, sources of getting things out there. And there was so much press after the RTE documentary, and then the big protest in Dublin City, and then the Greyhound and the Shelbourne protests and all that, you know, was in the press like for several weeks, like nearly every day, something about the Greyhounds. But what happened was, you know, it was done over and over and over again, and they won't. The press are not interested now unless there's a new angle. So, you know, that's the thing. So you'd have to come up with something new or something shocking or something, you know.
Yeah, well, the new angle is that they're going to places like China, Pakistan, and the meat markets. But one of the things that I've noticed the Guardian covers quite a lot is how COVID started and how all of those keep going. And a lot of it is from the meat markets in China. And that's when the greyhounds are boiled there and with bats and whomever else is around. So that's another angle is that and it does kind of factor into the COVID scare.
The press are not
Well,
even
I
buying
actually
press.
have more information that I got that is not checked out.
Okay, well, good. I mean, it's just an idea. I mean, I can
Yeah,
find out.
we really need a good private investigator that nobody knows. Like, we're all no good. They all know us, you know?
Yeah,
Can I ask about the RTE documentary? Is that available? I mean, is that on YouTube or?
Yeah, that was
Oh,
made by
yeah,
RTA,
great.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's great. I'll email it to you if you like. Sure.
Okay, because that would make a really good series on TikTok. That would.
Oh, it's great.
Mhm.
It's great. Yeah, my
Mhm.
friend John Watford is the one who took some of the photos of the dogs in the grave. And he worked with Connor Ryan and Frank Schultes is his name.
Yeah,
people-
Frank Shoulders.
The producers for that. So yeah, we worked with.
There's another aspect to it, Louise, because Frank Shoulders was over here one day with me.
Uh-huh.
And I was chatting to him and I said, you know, can you not do another one?
Uh-huh.
And he says if they focus any more basically on the greyhounds, they'll be accused of what's the bias.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that
And
makes
that's the main reason that they're not going with another program.
right. Well, let's see what else we can, another angle. Is always looking for another angle.
Okay, anything else you'd like to add, Bernie, before we go?
Put the kettle on. Well, no, for now, no. Jesus, I could be talking here forever and then drop dead exhausted.
Hey, Roger,
Well, yeah.
get your email.
I mean, I think the main thing I'd like to say is just if you see something wrong, just find an angle around it and fix it.
Get out
You
and
know?
do it. Yeah.
And
Do
thank
it.
you very much, Bernie, for all you've done.
I'll see you soon, Louise.
Well, one
Thanks,
way or the
Bernie.
other. Roger, what's your email, please?
Well, I've just had a check on YouTube, so I can get it. It is there.
Roger,
Okay.
it's on our channel.
We call it a wrap, will we?
Okay, sure, yeah. I probably went on too long.
No,
Oh,
we're going to have you back again.
Because
Kill me, Dennis. Jeez, get rid of me.
I'll send the other articles to Carol and she can send them to Roger.
will do.
Okay, Bernie, thank you very much, and thanks very much to everybody that was here this evening. And
Right.
thanks to Roger for asking the questions and the PowerPoint presentation. And thank you, Carol, for doing the production. And good night and goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
In the future.
Bye-bye. Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.